So I had a Sea-Doo at the time. I would hitch up the Sea-Doo, bring it to work. So at 5 o'clock, I would just drive, pick her up, and we'd go to Ramsey and go Sea-Dooing for a couple hours.
So what do you think about relocating here to Sudbury? What are some pros and cons?
When you moved to the city 20 years ago, what made you stay? Welcome to the TNT Real Estate Podcast, where we spark conversations that set you up for real estate success. I'm Tyler.
And I'm Tanya, and each week we bring you expert tips on navigating Northern Ontario's real estate market. Whether you're buying, selling, or investing, we've got the tools to help you thrive. So Tyler, how are you? How was your week this week?
Week was good. We had a closing yesterday. That went nice and smooth.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I got beat. I got my butt kicked last week.
That's the story of the
Actually,
week.
I didn't get my butt kicked. It was close. We went $75,000 over asking, and we got beat by $4,000.
Okay, that's like almost exactly what happened to me last night. Although it was more brutal because I had to stay up late. That's why I'm so tired this morning. I was actually conversing with my client. We had a deadline of midnight on this offer that we put forward. And I don't normally do midnight irrevocables. I usually do 10 p.m. because I want to go to bed at 10 p.m. But this was a unique circumstance. And what happened was I had to have a phone call with my client at 9:30 because there was a change in the number of offers that came forward. So we had a great discussion, came up with a plan to revise the offer. And so I drafted it, sent it to them for signature. And I thought to myself, okay, my phone goes on Do Not Disturb at 10 p.m.
Oh.
Yeah. So I actually was very conscientious. I was like, I have to make sure my phone is not on Do Not Disturb because this is, outside of my normal bedtime. And that was fine. But so I was waiting for my client to sign this and just waiting. The other agent's waiting for me. And I was like, well, maybe they don't understand that they actually have to sign it. So I called them. Went to voicemail. I texted. Nothing. I'm like, what the heck am I going to do? Oh my gosh, maybe their phone went on Do Not Disturb. Sure enough, 30 minutes later, they contact me. They're like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. My phone went on Do Not Disturb as well. But they signed it. We got it in. And then by 11:30, I found out we lost by $4,000.
No.
$4,000 and a little bit of conditions too, but It was $4,000. So same as you.
Was it a nice property?
No, it was not a nice property. It was a really good property. It was nothing fancy. It was perfect, met the needs of the client. But so I actually managed to send a very coherent message to them at 11:30 saying, I'm so sorry. This is what happened. We'll talk in the morning. We'll regroup and replan. But
darn.
I was really glad when I looked at that message. I was like, okay, I was not, it actually made sense because it was so late for me.
That's a good thing they reached out to you that late.
Yes. I was really worried that we weren't going to get that offer signed. But then what do? You call, you text. Maybe if you call.
Show up at their house.
You call
Hello.
a number of times. Yeah.
Good morning.
Yeah. By the way, you need to sign this. Yeah.
That's funny.
Anyway, it was very close.
Okay, what are we talking about today?
Today, we're going to talk about living in Sudbury. So the pros, the cons, and real estate related topics as well, right? So I think we both kind of look at it from a different perspective because you're from Sudbury, born and raised. I guess I should say I'm from Sudbury now that I've been here more than 20 years. But sometimes you see it a little bit differently if you're from outside. And we certainly have clients who come from outside and we have clients who are born and raised. Yeah. So what do you think about relocating here to Sudbury? What are some pros and cons you would...
So my first relocation client actually came up from Houston, Texas. And this was years and years ago, but it was a really eye-opening experience for me, I feel, because so I got to place them. They ended up not buying, but they rented an apartment for, I think they were here for a year or two, and then they went elsewhere. But it was a super cool experience watching them even on Facebook and experiencing all the things that we kind of take for granted as Sudburyans. I remember one post that I remember, it was either the first or second snowfall, and they posted a picture of an actual snowflake. Oh, and I'm
wow.
I don't remember the last time that I actually looked for snowflakes. I just you look at the snow, but you don't take that time to magnify down to one specific snowflake. Oh, cool. They're just cool stuff like that. And then they also mentioned that when it snows, there's no such thing as lanes on the streets. And I'm like, yeah, that's kind of true too. It's kind of just a free for all.
Yeah. Yeah. You definitely see it differently when you're looking at it from someone else's perspective.
Yeah. So, but I mean, in a general sense, I would say like Sudbury's a lifestyle city. And I kind of realized that as you deal with more and more, because they're like, oh, can we see like what are good restaurants that are open on the weekends? I'm like, well, most restaurants are actually pretty dead in the summer because everybody's gone to camp or everybody's, traveling or doing something. So I think there's like so much to see and do in the city. But it is a lifestyle. Yeah,
I think Sudbury has certainly changed a lot in the last 20 years. We've seen it really evolve. I think one of the biggest draws have always been like our proximity to nature, trails, being a city with lakes, a city with 330 some lakes within the jurisdiction. It's one of those places that can draw in people who love the outdoors, who love boating, who love paddling and that type of thing. And it's one of those things, I think it's a real jewel to have Ramsey Lake, right in the center of the city, and the Northern Water Sports Center. There's a lot of opportunities for people who love sailing and that type of thing. And then outside the city, certainly, we have got lots of trails and lots of things people can do to explore. If you like camping, hiking, it's beautiful. You go to Killarney and the beautiful mountains.
Yeah, there is so much around.
Yeah.
So what kind of drew you when you moved to the city 20 years ago? Obviously it was for work, but like what made you stay?
Yeah. So for us, it was more like the nature and the proximity to the parks that we love to visit. Yeah. Certainly Killarney, going to, the La Cloche Mountains and Manitoulin Island has always been a huge draw for us. But yeah, we didn't expect that we would stay. We thought it was just going to be like a 6-month thing on their way back out west to the West Coast. But it really does grow on you because you're just in the middle. It's a great mining town. It's, very close to, it's not too far from Toronto and larger cities. So if you wanted to get out and travel, it's pretty close. It's probably the best mining town that you can live in. But just around us, we just have so much nature, and we could afford a really great lifestyle as people just starting out like in our 20s with no money and, not much built up except, my husband, boyfriend at the time had a job and I was doing a master's program. We could actually afford to buy a house at that time. Yeah. So it was a huge draw and a huge reason to stay. Just the lifestyle and the fact that, we could walk to the lake in 10, 15 minutes from our house. Actually,
speaking of proximity to lakes, this story kind of just popped in my mind, but I used to work for Valet as a summer student. And at that time, I forget what year university it was, maybe 3rd year, 4th year. And I had a Sea-Doo at the time. I bought a Sea-Doo like all young kids do.
University
and
students.
like, I would just like bring, like I would hitch up the Sea-Doo, bring it to work. And we worked 10-hour shifts at that point. So at 5 o'clock, I would like just drive to Mel's house, pick her up, and we'd go to Ramsey and like go Sea-Dooing for a couple hours.
No way.
So just like, I'm not sure how many other cities you could probably do that in.
I don't think you could do that in many other cities. That's pretty cool. Yeah. And I think one of Ben's first jobs was he was doing field work, and a lot of it involved like going out on the boats and little lakes and doing like rock sampling and stuff like that. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah. All the nature we have.
That's cool. So what would be your favorite, like if you're like a quick nature break, where are you going?
I go to Bell Park.
Oh yeah.
I go to Bell Park. I just feel like it's a nice place to walk, to just like, and you can sit like on the rocks and just get sort of a quiet, peaceful surrounding. Yeah. And sometimes you're walking and there's lots of people. So people say hi to you. It's very friendly. I love it.
Yeah. So close to your place too.
Yeah. Okay. So we were talking about affordability. And one of the reasons we stayed was because we actually could buy a house on a single salary, which was pretty cool at the time. Do you still think Sudbury is a pretty affordable city for people starting out?
It's a two-sided question, because is it affordable compared to 5 years ago? No, it's not. But is it affordable in the grand scheme of Canadian real estate? It is. Like the average price right now across Canada, it's probably dropping a little bit. So this, I think last month it was like $850. And our average price is under $500,000.
Yeah.
So in the grand scheme of things, if you're from anywhere south of Barrie, Sudbury is extremely affordable compared to those prices.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And what you get for $450,000 to $500,000 is a pretty decent 3-bedroom, maybe 1 bathroom, maybe 1.5 bathroom house. Yeah. Whereas it's really hard to get into the larger market when the starting price or the average price is closer to 800, and probably even more so as you get closer to the big cities.
Yeah. And those, I mean, those are typically condos or townhouses as well in those major centers. So it's a much different, like you get a, 100 or 50 by 100 foot lot at least. If you go out to the valley, even more out to Chelmsford, like there is opportunities to have way more land.
Yeah.
And typically a bigger house for relatively cheap.
And one of the things I think we're used to is commuting short distances. So, my commute is like 10, 15 minutes pretty much anywhere. But if you're used to commuting 40 minutes to an hour in a larger city, if you commute 40 minutes to an hour outside of our city center, you really can get a very affordable home. Like if you go out towards even like Dowling, Levac, or, Marks Day and that area. South tends to be a little bit more expensive because then we're kind of getting that creep up of cottages for sort of GTA and Barrie type dwellers. But certainly if you go outside of the city center, you can get more affordable homes, more for your money.
And even speaking on affordability, like I had a conversation with a family friend that lived in Oshawa for years and years, and their kids are grown. They're older than I am, but he was saying like even back in the day when he was kind of growing and doing his thing, he would have to go into Toronto to work, and it would be an hour there at least. And this was like back in the 80s, 90s, and then an hour home. And then like they didn't have any extra money to go towards like their kids' sports or their kids' activities. So it was kind of just like they were there because they were close to everything and they could go to shows. But I mean, the affordability part, when most of your salary is going to, the house, or
can you afford to go to the shows and
right.
the restaurants and the lifestyle?
Yeah.
I think some people might think, well, we don't have great restaurants. We don't have that sort of theater, and we don't have the sort of arts programs that a lot of other large cities do have. Yeah. But I think what we do have here has developed quite nicely. And, we can go to some great theater, some live theater. Yes, theater has been one of those things that we've really all enjoyed, certainly us at the office. And there's a lot of activities for your kids to do as well. Like my kids growing up had the advantage of going into like dance and ski racing, and although we only have a tiny ski hill, it's not like, the bigger centers like Sault Ste. Marie has a much bigger ski team and that type of thing. But at least your kids can start to develop their skills. Yep. And hockey and all sorts of sports are readily available.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's really not much that we don't have here in the city compared to the other ones. Just the programs might not be as big.
They might not be as big. They might not be as competitive, but they are certainly existing. And I think they've grown over time as well, right? We have great summer camps for kids to go to. Even the soccer sort of camps have really developed. There's been a couple of them that have gotten a lot bigger and really helped kids develop their skills.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what do you think, like say somebody moving to the city, what do you think are hidden costs? Say they're moving up from GTA or let's say Southern Ontario. What do you think are like some hidden costs of living in Sudbury are?
Okay, so one thing I think about is I don't know if this is just a Northern Ontario thing or if it's an Ontario thing completely, but it's car maintenance. I feel like our cars do not last as long. Yeah. Certainly if we compare it to like BC and other climates that are completely different, but it feels like we have a lot of potholes and things that go wrong. And I just feel like car maintenance is just very expensive here. Mm-hmm.
I remember years and years ago, probably 15 years ago, but we were like, there was obviously a top, the worst roads in Canada list, and 3 of them were in Sudbury.
Oh, shoot. Yeah.
So that's a con about living in
just
Sudbury.
Just don't get a fancy car. Just get like a car that's like mid-range. You're okay with a few pop
If you have
tires.
a lot of money, don't buy a Ferrari, buy a G-Wagon or something.
Yes.
Something sturdy.
Oh my gosh.
That's funny.
Yeah. Are there some other costs that you can think of that...
I was going to say vehicle stuff too.
Really?
Like,
no way.
Like we have to drive.
Yeah.
So it's not like you need to own a vehicle when you're in Sudbury, typically.
And I think flying out of the city can be more expensive as well.
Yeah,
so if you're taking international trips, yes, maybe if you want to fly out of your local airport, that can be more expensive, certainly. but parking at the airport's really cheap, so that's really nice.
That's right.
But most people do end up driving to Toronto because just the flight times are a little bit tricky. So I think that can be the added expense. If you're trying to like go somewhere internationally, it can be a little bit more challenging to sort of make that leap. But our airport is not too bad.
Yeah, it's getting better as well. We just
need more flight times.
That's right, more flight times. WestJet is finally back. Only one route, but
it's something.
We're getting there.
Yeah, we're getting there.
Okay, what are the challenges that we experience, Tanya?
Challenges is definitely the weather. The winter weather can be a little bit tough.
Yeah.
I don't know if we certainly don't get as much snow as that major snow belt like Barrie, Parry Sound. I do believe they get a lot more snow than we do.
Yeah.
But we can have some days where it is really cold, really cold and snowy. And so snow removal, that type of thing can be a bit of a challenge for people.
Actually, now that you mentioned snow removal, a lot of like throughout COVID, I had a ton of like out of town investors that came in and they're like, well, what's this like line item, on the income and expenses, like snow and grass? I'm like, yeah, you got to remove the snow, like driveways, you got to pay for, people to shovel the walkways and stuff. Like it's something that, they typically don't think of in a major way like that. But yeah, it could run, $1,000 for the season if you're getting your yard plowed or something. So,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I think that's obviously like we don't have as much industry as like I always can like compare us to Toronto, which I should probably stop. But like our mining is obviously our biggest industry, although lots of people say that it's shrinking, but I think it's just subcontractors that are growing in the place of, valet or what's the other mine?
It used to be Falconbridge.
Yes,
What is it now? Glencore.
Glencore, yes. Oh my God. So yeah, not those, like the mining companies aren't hiring as much, but it's just subcontractors that are taking those places. But we do have 3 post-secondary, we have Cambrian, Boreal, we have Laurentian. We have the CRA, which is huge. They've closed in the last 5 years. They've closed 9 different CRAs and put those employees basically in Sudbury. And I think there's one out west as well. So like our CRA is huge.
Yeah.
If you talk to 5 people, 4 of them, I feel like 4 of them work at the CRA.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, that's really true. I think we have diversified from just like a 2-company mining town, which it felt like it was like that when we first moved here 20 plus years ago. It was really just Inco and Falconbridge at the time, plus a few auxiliary businesses that supported those mining businesses. But we really have grown a lot. To see those post-secondary institutions grow with, even the Northern Ontario School of Medicine. I mean, that's a huge feat to have that here in our local community, and the School of Architecture. It was really great to have those people, and they come from outside of the city to attend these institutions. So that's really nice to see a little more diversity, a little bit of outside influence, people with different experiences. And then certainly our economy's grown and diversified in that way. Yeah, for sure. It's not just the old mining town that everybody thinks it is, that have been here and traveled from years and years ago. But it's way different. There was somebody, I forget who said this, but recently somebody said if you haven't been to Sudbury in the last 3 years, you haven't been to Sudbury. Oh, no way. And I'm like, that's a good one. It kind of makes sense, because it's like ever changing. Although, I mean, the people that live here complain that it doesn't change fast enough, but we are changing, and it's growing. It's growing, definitely. Yeah. And Sudbury certainly is not without its problems. We were talking about the downtown a little bit earlier and the challenges that our city has faced with the downtown. And, really post-COVID, a lot of cities in Canada just went through this, kind of difficult transition. I think we're still struggling with it. But hopefully it seems like at least the leadership at the city has a vision to turn it around and to help, revive the downtown. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And that kind of goes with the whole kind of community. And I feel like a lot of the downtowns all over Canada are kind of dealing with the same kind of issues. But yeah, it seems like the leaders, downtown do have a vision for it. So that's good and refreshing to see. Obviously the arena is going to be built downtown, the conference center, there's hotels going. Apparently there's a big parking structure going down as well. So Yeah, we attended that meeting about the downtown redevelopment, and part of that also was, I think, moving the bus depot, changing the way that's configured, and they put some really good thought behind it, and in redeveloping the downtown so that it works and functions. And one of the bigger projects, of course, is bringing people back to working and living downtown too. Yeah. And with that Scotia Tower development, we were talking about this the other day at the office, how that's going to bring more people into downtown, and then hopefully more businesses thriving downtown and help regrow it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a huge thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so the downtown is a big part of our community, but certainly the community spirit is beyond that. What are some of the big things in our community that you find bring people to our city and help people stay in our city?
Well, I feel like we have, because like before the amalgamation in 2000, I feel like we have like multiple downtowns. Like, I feel like New Sudbury has a little bit of a downtown where the mall is. I feel like, the Four Corners is a little bit of a downtown. So, and I mean, like when you go to like the other cities like Valcairn and, they have little downtowns too. But so I feel like it's just like the vibe of the community. Like you can go downtown, like to Bell Park, you can go for a walk, like that, like being so close to, lakes and nature is like a huge draw. And I know we've talked about this multiple times, but I feel it's just like the vibe. And as much as an issue as downtown seems to be, I love going downtown, like doing like the patios, like, me and Mel will go down and have dinner, have a little date night downtown and go for drinks or whatever it is. But I like the vibe.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. One of the things that I haven't got to experience yet, I'm really looking forward to doing, is the Refectorio. Is that how you say it? That's a really great venue that they've built downtown.
You haven't been to the Ref yet?
I have not been to the Ref yet.
Okay,
No, we got to go.
Yeah.
But I think that's one of those things, to see people and entrepreneurs putting money and building that sense of community and changing it and making it a little more artsy and more interesting is really great for our community.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So what do you think is the Sudbury's hottest neighborhood right now?
I definitely think the hottest neighborhood right now is the whole valley. Valley. Valcairn is booming.
Yep.
Everybody's moving to the valley. Prices are soaring. There's new developments, huge new developments happening there too. Yep. Not only do we see the new home construction, and certainly there's a new school going up, but there's a lot of retirement type homes for rent that are coming up. So that's really nice to see. And people want to stay in their community, right? Yeah. So if someone, built their home, lived in their home for a long time and had their children living in the valley, but it's time to downsize, those, one level, living spaces that they're developing are perfect for those retirees.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah,
those are really nice. And I agree, like the valley's on fire right now. Mm-hmm. I think it was Mario that said that he went to open house this weekend, or had a client that went to an open house, and there was 55 guests through this open house, and that's only a 2-hour span. And I think that is like, it's just kind of a testament to how busy it is out there.
And I think there's just like there's a lot of amenities that have developed there too. Like there's a lot of shopping. Like you can live in the valley and not really have to go into town either to do everything. Yeah. So aside from the valley, what are some areas that are great for families or for young professionals? Are they the same community, or are they kind of different areas?
They're different areas. I would say families. I would say South End all the way to New Sudbury and Minnow Lake included in that. I would say, and then obviously I would say the Valley as well, because it's expanding so much and there's like so much to do out here. But for young professionals, I would kind of put them down closer to downtown. So maybe hospital area. That's like a really kind of trendy neighborhood. Uptown is kind of cool as well. You're also close to like the scene, I want to call it. But I don't think there's really a bad spot. It's really what they're looking for, what they want their lifestyle to be, right? But
yeah, I definitely agree with you. It's all about the lifestyle and what people are looking for. Are they looking for parks and playgrounds and schools, or are they looking for restaurants, cafes, and that type of vibe?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's our real talk on Sudbury. The ups, the downs, and everything in between.
Whether you're eyeing a move or just love learning about Northern Ontario, we hope that this gave you a clearer picture. Thanks for tuning in to the TNT podcast. If you've enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to leave us a comment, subscribe, and share with a friend who might be interested in real estate.
We'll catch you next time, and until then, stay ahead in real estate.